Welcome on in to the Puck Bros podcast. My name is Brett, and as always, I'm joined by my brother, Nolan. We're going to tell you all about the latest NHL news with a lot of different extension signings, some new captains being named, and with the season slowly approaching, we're less than 30 days away. Training camps have begun. We're going to be giving our power rankings for each division, ranking them 1 through 8 and saying which 16 teams we think will make it into the playoffs. So we're really excited for a great episode, but for now, let's get it started. Here we go. Yeah, so as stated, we did have some new captains named today, and one of them is more obvious, so we'll save that one. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do that one first, the more obvious one first. Victor Hedman, no surprise, has been named the captain of the Tampa Bay Lightning after the Lightning decided they didn't want to re-sign Stamkos. Stamkos walked. He joined Nolan's team, the Nashville Predators. They needed a captain. Well, I mean, you want a captain, and no doubt, it's the former second overall pick. I believe that's right.
Yep.
Who's been with the franchise forever, has been with their number one defenseman forever. Victor Hedman, the super Swede. He is the captain. Do you really think it could have been anyone else?
If anyone else, it could have been Kucherov or Braden Point. Out of all the options, I think Victor Hedman was probably the most obvious. He's been there the longest, so it makes sense.
Right, and I feel like there is a leadership role when you are the number one defenseman. I mean, even with Gustav Forsling, he started to take more of a leadership role, playing the number one role defenseman. Even though Aaron Ekblad hold the alternate captaincy, you could feel like when you're the number one defenseman, you kind of have to be a leader.
Yeah. Most certainly. Roman Yossi's our captain.
Yep, that's right.
So it's very similar.
I mean, Mark Giordano was named the first captain in Seattle Kraken history, and even though he
was the captain of Calgary for the longest,
he was the captain of Calgary as well. I believe he took over after Jarome Iginla. There might have been someone in between that.
I feel like it was after Jarome Iginla.
Yeah. And so Brent Burns, was he ever captain? No, because I think that captain carousel in San Jose, they went Marlowe. I think Pavelski had it one time. Now it's Couture. They didn't want to give it to a defenseman.
No.
Was Erik Karlsson ever captain of the Ottawa?
Yes.
Yes. So there you go. So number one defenseman as a captain is definitely not odd. I think it's the right choice. It's an obvious one. They should have announced it months ago, in my opinion. I don't know. Maybe they're trying to wait for the wounds to heal.
Maybe they wanted to wait for training camp.
And they did, because training camps basically all started today. Was media day today, at the day we're recording, which is September 18th. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I guess it makes sense. Hey, they probably already knew he was going to be. That's a good point. They probably already knew he was going to be the captain this whole time. They're like, let's wait to announce it till training camp. As I was saying, as I was interrupting you, which my bad. They're waiting for the wounds to heal a little bit for their fans with Stamkos leaving.
Yeah, but I think they'll be okay. They'll be okay.
Yes, you'll find out later if we think they'll be in the playoffs, Tampa.
Well, that's right.
But let's move on to the other captain. This one, maybe, I think it makes sense, but there's definitely was some other options people were thinking of for this team, and it's the Chicago Blackhawks. They decided to name Nick Foligno the 35th captain in Chicago's history. A lot of people thought maybe they give it to Connor Bedard really early, but I think...
You know what this reminds me of?
Okay.
Do you remember when the Panthers named Derek McKenzie?
Do you remember Willie Mitchell before that,
Willie Mitchell, too? You've had some really weird captains. This is just like your temp captain until Connor Bedard is the captain.
Exactly. Yes, this is a bridge captain. I mean, Nick Foligno's only signed there for 2 years. So I think
Yeah,
he's captain this season, he's captain next season, and then Bedard time.
yes, that will likely be the thing. So nothing to think about this. I don't think. Just a just a guy who's a veteran who was a captain before, I believe, with the Blue Jackets.
Yes, that sounds right. I don't,
Yeah,
or he might have at least he was an alternate because I think Boone Jenner's been
no,
a
he was a
captain for a
captain for
while.
sure.
Okay,
But Boone Jenner, yeah, Boone Jenner took over after him
that's what it was. I gotcha.
because he got traded to the Leafs for a first round pick, and then they got eliminated in the first round again.
And like you said, I don't know if anyone else would have been a better bridge captain before Bedard. Like Taylor Hall, I don't think he's ever been a captain. He's led teams offensively, but that's it. Seth Jones, if you give him the captain, then he's got to be at long term because he's signed there long term. So I feel like
No,
Nick Foligno was the right choice. Depth veteran
yeah,
guy.
exactly.
I was about to say defenseman. He is not. He is a centerman. I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
And Marcus Foligno is the winger.
Oh no, they're both wingers. I'm pretty
They're
sure.
both. I can't remember.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're both wingers. If I
I'll just
remember
be
correctly.
honest. I used to get Nick Foligno and Boone Jenner mixed up in my brain, and I don't know why.
They're similar players, two-way forwards.
Yeah. Um, moving on from that, because we do have. I mean, doing the power ranks will take a minute, so we can kind of go through this stuff somewhat quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
None of it's too big.
no, probably we'll get there.
Two,
Um,
two of them.
so James Van Riemsdyk, remember him? He signed a 1-year deal with the Columbus Blue Jackets, hitting only a 900,000 cap hit. Obviously, with Columbus losing Johnny Gaudreau in the most tragic way possible, they have a lot of cap space to play with that. Even though they would prefer it the other way, but still JVR solid pickup. It's not even really costing that much. They still could sign a couple other players, and maybe he steps up. A lot of questions about Columbus now is who's going to step up without Gaudreau being able to be there. You know,
Yeah, I don't know what they expect out of him. I don't know if they're expecting top six winger JVR, but just good depth to have for Columbus, and only
right?
making 900K could be a good trade deadline trade guy.
That's true, especially if he's doing well. Um,
Yeah.
the expectations are definitely lower with the cap hit here, 900,000, very
Hmm.
little. Especially when they have so much room to do more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he could. So it's all like if you play really well, but maybe Columbus still isn't very good. Like you said, they trade him, get a couple assets, or if he performs well enough and they're doing well, hang on to him. Maybe even extend him. We'll see.
He- I think he's like 37 or something. He's old.
Yeah, good point. The guy who is not old at all. I only pretty much put this because it's your team. There's been some other
Yeah.
tiny contracts too, but this guy was your team. Philip Tomasino. Sorry about that. Philip Tomasino. He signed a 1-year deal. I think he was an RFA. Um,
Yes.
yeah, so they were able to figure it out for at least 1 year. 1 year, 825. Um, I think you said you don't like Tomasino that much, right?
Well, it's not that I don't like him. It's just
You hate him.
last year he did take a step. He got 20 points in 41 games. That's the most he's played since 2022, where he actually played like a full season, 76 games. He's solid. It's just like his translation from AHL point per game numbers to middling, like okay guy in NHL when he's in the NHL.
Yeah, so he hasn't met expectations, is basically what you're saying.
Yeah, this guy we were hoping for like a top six winger, but he's he's more feeling like a depth role. Hopefully this year he can finally play a full season, even though we're kind of still paying him under $1 million. So
Right. It's
obviously the Predators aren't locked into him yet, but
I'm gonna say this is a continued like, hey, you still got to prove that you're worth it. And when Tomasino
Mhm.
is agreeing to the 1 year, he knows he needs to prove it because they probably, I mean, the Predators, even though it's Barry Trotz now, with who's the Poland, Poland,
Foley. David
Poley,
Polley.
sorry, Poley was kind of famous for doing those extremely long contracts with a low cap hit. Like I could see him
Mhm.
signing like Philip Tomasino to like 2.1 for 6 years, like. But
Colton Sessions deal.
yeah, but Tomasino knows he wants to make more than that, so he's okay with a prove it deal if he feels like he can do it.
Yeah.
Another guy
So
looking. Oh, sorry.
no, go ahead.
Oh yeah. So another guy looking to prove himself a bit more, a guy who's had a lot of potential, was the big piece in the Jack Eichel trade, Peyton Krebs. He decided he's going to stick in Buffalo for at least 2 more years, only carrying a $1.45 million cap hit. He's kind of been underwhelming since being called up.
Oh yeah.
Looks like he's going to be like a middle six center slash winger guy. He's expected to be
Yeah.
a top six. He was expected to be like what Tage Thompson is doing. Obviously, very different players, but as far as the production, that's what they were hoping for. Hasn't worked out so much.
Yeah, I mean, he's had his worst season in his career. So he went from like a 48 games to 22 points, and like that's pretty solid. 74 games, 26 points, and now eight coming off an 80 game season, 4 goals, 13 assists
17
for
points.
17 points.
Oh,
So
terrible.
he's kind of regressing now.
Right. And only
So
at
hopefully,
23.
I mean, you're only paying him $1 million. He's young. You can't just say, all right, he's
He's
done. His
washed.
career's over. He's washed. But if he keeps regressing, he'll just literally be like fourth line depth piece.
Right.
Call him up
And
when you're desperate.
And when Buffalo made this trade for Jack Eichel, obviously they were hoping to get like some franchise pieces back. So they knew they weren't going to get a Jack Eichel out of this trade, but solid pieces. And Peyton Krebs so far has, like, if it looks like he's just going to be, you even said just like fourth line, like just a role player. That is not what they wanted out
Yeah,
of him when they traded for him.
yeah, no. I also see he has 67 penalty minutes. That's a lot for.
For like a tiny, supposed to be scoring type guy. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, more of a playmaker. I was looking at his junior numbers. He's definitely more of a playmaker, not a goal guy.
Yeah, I'd be
In fact,
you would know more about that stuff than
yeah,
me.
in fact, he never scored 20 goals in the juniors.
Okay, so yeah, no, you're right. Definitely more of a passer, and
Hmm.
so far that has not quite translated to the NHL level. Poor Buffalo, you know.
That's okay.
Switching over to the Dallas Stars, they did two extensions very close together. Both were defensemen. They decided they're going to hang on to Essa Lindell and Thomas Harley for a while. Essa Lindell got a pretty significant contract, a 5-year deal with a $5.25 million cap hit for each of those 5 years. He is 30, so a little crazy they signed him for that long, but I mean, he's
Yeah,
one of their
that's
best
he's worth it.
defensemen,
He's
so
really good.
sure. No, I no doubt. And then much younger, only 23, Thomas Harley. They kept him on with a 2-year contract with a $4 million cap hit each of those 2 years. So he gets a big bump in his pay, and
I'm sure it'll be an RFA after those 2 years as well.
I wish Puckpedia was more clear about that. Sorry. Yes, he will be an RFA
Okay,
following
so
this
that's
contract. So that works out for them, for both Dallas and him. Um, Thomas Harley really stepped up. I know I kind of dropped off on fantasy hockey towards the end of the year, but
yeah.
at the beginning and the middle, Thomas Harley was a great fantasy pickup. So
Oh
he,
yeah, he's showing upside for sure.
yeah, and I mean Dallas is continuing to rise in their talks of chances to win the Stanley Cup. They keep getting
Oh
so
yeah,
close, and Thomas Harley's going to be a not like the main piece, but he's a good, solid depth piece in your defenseman, someone you
oh
kind of
yeah.
need to make runs like that.
Their left side is really good. I think Thomas Harley's lefty.
He is. I'm looking at the
So
Puckpedia,
yeah,
so
you
yeah.
got Essa Lindell, Thomas Harley, and Miro
I'd say don't
Heiskanen.
forget about Heiskanen. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a solid left-handed side, kind of like Buffalo's
yeah. They
with
added Matt Dumba
Dahlin.
this offseason as well, and Labushkin. So those are two
Two,
new defensemen. Yeah.
yeah. So they have. You can probably put the more offensive left-handed defensemen with those defensive
Right.
guys.
Yep. Yeah, Matt Dumba and Heiskanen is probably going to be your number one pairing. Maybe you put Harley. Maybe you could do two left-handed ones. I don't know. I don't know with
I'm not sure.
Lindell and
We don't know
Harley.
what their lines were really like.
Yeah, that'll be something to see. But anyways, like you said, very strong defense there in Dallas, and they got him for a while. I think that's good deals for both sides. Um,
Hmm.
Moving on to a much higher caliber player, Sidney Crosby is not going to be entering free agency next season, and not that anyone's shocked.
Nobody's shocked by that.
He signed a 2-year extension with Pittsburgh, continuing the same AAV he's had for the past 15 years. I think what it is.
Crazy.
8.7, which is his jersey number, 87. He says, "I'm sticking with that."
You know what's crazy? I found out.
Okay,
I don't know if you already knew this. His birthday is August 7th, 1987.
perfect. So yeah, he's like
So
this. This is my number,
this is my number, and it's worked out for him.
right? I mean, because he's someone who could have commanded 12 million. I know the
Oh yeah,
cap
for sure.
wasn't like that back in the 2010s,
Oh
but
yeah, 8.7 was crazy back then.
yeah, but even now, I think if he chose not to extend with Pittsburgh, even though he's going to be like what 37, I think in this offseason, maybe
Hmm.
38, he's going to be up there. Someone would have paid him 10. You know they
Oh yeah, people would have paid this guy. He's still Sidney Crosby at the end of the
right.
day.
Yeah, so Captain Sid the Kid, he's definitely going to just be a
Penguin for
Pittsburgh
life.
lifer. Yeah, no doubt. I think even after this 2-year contract, he probably signs at least one more contract. I think it depends where his level of playing is at. Um, I'm
Yeah.
trying to. I don't. I wish I knew Crosby's age. Let me look it up real quick because I want to sound
Yeah.
smart. So he is currently 37. So actually, he'll be 38 at the start of that contract. So he'll be 40 at the end of this 2-year deal. I mean, plenty of players have played beyond age 40. Sidney Crosby, someone who,
I'm
I
not sure if he's a past 40 type
you
player.
don't think so? Okay,
No. I feel like injuries have affected him. He'll
that's
probably want
true.
to stop.
Yeah, so maybe this is the last contract Sidney Crosby signs. First ballot Hall of Famer whenever
Oh
the
yeah.
time limit hits, no doubt. One of the easier decisions to put in the Hall for sure.
100%.
um, Another big contract, another 8+ AAV, and this one was a little bit surprising. Not like a
Yeah.
ton surprising, but I'm like, oh, okay. Lucas Raymond of the Detroit Red Wings has signed an 8-year contract with Detroit, carrying an 8.075 um, cap hit each year. Very, very crazy. He There was no question that he would test the open market um, when his
Really.
contract. Uh,
Test the open market as a after his entry level deal.
or sorry, no, like sorry, I should have. You're right. Like not test the open market, but like be like a trade guy, saying like he was like something like that happened with Johnny Gaudreau when he left Calgary, or Matthew Tkachuk when he left Calgary,
Uh,
something like that. Sorry. Yeah, so that was. I know there's some rumors about Lucas Raymond potentially being that happening, but nope, he's sticking around in Detroit, and that
and
contract does go into effect this year. He was an RFA, so
really, okay. So definitely deserves it. He's coming off a 31 goal season, 41 assists, 72 points. He's a top 6 winger for sure. So, yeah. I think a little people were worried after like a semi sophomore slumpish year.
right. Yeah, he was almost the Calder winner, and
Yeah,
then
and then he kind of just like did okay. 45 points in 74 games. That's solid. Not
but
but
not like superstar. Yeah,
it's not like he progressed. He regressed a little bit. But now from that
72 points.
regression, he had a great season. So they're like, okay, we're confident he can recreate this because he's shown he can do it.
And Raymond also wants to jump on the opportunity to sign this long year deal, knowing,
Mm-hmm.
hey, I could end up not having a great season, or maybe get injured. Those are kind of
It's
thoughts.
good to lock up an 8-year
Yeah,
contract that young. It's good.
like it's kind of
A
like
lot
what.
of a lot of people have to do like bridge stuff.
Mhm. Right. That's what I said. He had to jump on the opportunity was presented. That's like what Huberto did. Like Huberto was offered that crazy 8-year extension before he played a single game in Calgary, and it's bitten them in the butt so hard. But he's
Just
like,
love
I'm
bringing
good.
that
I'm
up.
getting paid. What were you saying? Sorry.
Nothing.
Nothing.
I'm trying to think of bad contracts the Panthers signed.
Dave Boland.
That was my first one I was thinking of, but I'm like, that wasn't too long. Think of 8-year, 7-year deals.
We fortunately have not really done anything like that.
Yeah, I was thinking, what was Brian Campbell's contract?
Brian Campbell, we gave him a pretty decent sized contract, but nothing crazy, and he still was our number one defenseman. Like it wasn't like garbage.
Yeah, I don't know why. I'm looking back at like Buffalo's contracts too in my head of Billy Lano and Matt
Matt
Molson
Molson.
and Christian Ehrhoff, who I'm pretty sure they're still paying. Oh
Oh
my god!
man.
But
Rick DiPietro, I saw a post about him. I think he got paid recently.
oh yeah,
It was Rick
probably
DiPietro day.
good for him. Alrighty, what's next?
Yeah. So we are talking about some guys who are no longer RFAs, like Tomasino, like Peyton Krabs, like Lucas Raymond. One guy who is still an RFA, and was a mention that he might not even sign till December. Jeremy Swayman still doesn't have a deal with the Boston Bruins going into training camp, so he will not report for training camp because he's not signed with a team, so he can't report with a team. He just will not be playing, and there's a potential that he won't even be playing for half the season. Now, if they don't sign a contract to him before December 1st, he's free game.
Done.
He's free game for anyone.
Oh, I don't think that's how it works. I just think he can't get a contract.
Oh, is that what it is? Oh, well, that would
Yeah,
that would suck.
he just won't be able to play.
Okay, it would have been more fun if
If everyone could, he just becomes a UFA.
that would be so much fun. I wonder how long. Like, how does that stay in effect? Like, if you don't,
It stays in effect till the following season. Like you know how some stupid GMs and
that's
GM
what I was trying
mode
to think
and
about.
some people. It was just okay. He's a RFA again.
So it just
Unless he-
resets. Or
yeah,
man, these guys need to. If he doesn't want to be a Bruin, I mean, there has to be some way he can get
Well,
out of it.
I think he wants to be a Bruin. I don't know if the Bruins want to pay him.
And that'll make him not want to be a Bruin because he deserves it. I've seen a lot of people ranking goaltenders, and Jeremy Swayman's in the top 5 very consistently of top goaltenders in the league.
Very good goaltender. Sign him, pay him,
Just pay the man.
pay the man $5 million 1 year, and then sign him to an extension.
I think he wants the big bucks now. Maybe that's why the
That's probably
discussions
why.
have like gone on, and one side is waiting for the other side to break.
Yeah,
I mean, if they start the season
it'll
with
be the Bruins.
yeah, I mean, especially if they start the season with Corpusalo and Bussy, right? Bussy,
Boosie.
and they like go like even like 1-4 to start the year, and Corpusalo's letting in like 4 a game. They'll be like, okay, here's your $8 million.
Come back to us. We're sorry.
Oh my gosh, I just like don't want Jeremy Swayman to be on the Bruins, so maybe I'm just hoping out. That's why the open market thing was like maybe it'll happen.
No, sadly. But yeah, it'd be funny if we saw like a trade.
Oh, can you imagine? They trade Allmark and Swayman. Oh my gosh.
Like, trade him to Anaheim for John Gibson.
I'd love that. Some other sad. Sorry, what was that last one? Last comment?
Oh no, nothing.
Okay. Some other sad news. Definitely not as fun at all. DJ Oshie, who's already been struggling with injuries, he has been ruled out for the entirety of the 2024-25 season for the same injuries he's been dealing with, which I'm not 100% sure what they are. Um, they wasn't very clear in TJ Ocean's statement today, but he will be LTIR the whole season for Washington. And I saw one post kind of saying, like, with Oshie out of the picture, Backstrom out of the picture, Kuznetsov is in the KHL. All those big pieces from the 2018 Cup run are basically gone, other than Ovechkin.
Yeah, John Carlson too.
Oh, John Carlson. Jeez, yeah, he's still there. Yeah, and Braden Holtby, he's been gone for a while.
Oh yeah, he's done.
He's been done. It sucks because TJ Oshie, he was Captain America basically with that crazy shootout. Just he kept doing all the shootout attempts. Then that was when he was with the St. Louis Blues. Then he decides to, I was Captain America. I'm going to play for the Washington Capitals. It made sense. Won a cup with them, obviously, there. He would have worked out anyway because if he stayed on St. Louis, would have won in 2019 probably. But anyways, TJ Oshie's this is probably going to be he's probably already played his last NHL game. I think he's had a great career. Don't know about a Hall of Fame career, but definitely great player.
Definitely great USA player of all time.
Right. Maybe he gets into the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame.
Definitely one of the best.
And then
just for the shootout alone.
Just for the shootout alone. That's right. I mean, yeah, I remember that. It's going to be the only time people are like think fondly upon the shootout.
Yeah.
One last bit of news that I just saw and thought it was interesting, so I decided we could talk about it at least a little bit, not a ton. But the Utah Hockey Club GM, Doug Armstrong, made a statement today. I want to do the statement directly, so let me pull that up real quick. Said, this is his direct quote from, I think I said Doug Armstrong, who is the Blues GM, Chris Armstrong, who is the Utah Hockey Club president.
Okay.
This is his statement. It's been very clear to us what our fans would like us to be called, but I'm not in a position or prepared to tell you what that is today. So pretty much Utah says, we know what our name's going to be, but we're not going to tell you yet. What's up with that?
Well, they want to be known as the hockey club this season.
Right. Basically, they say, this is what some people were commenting on this post, is like, yeah, if they tell us now, they'll be like, wow, that was a big waste of time doing this whole Utah Hockey Club crap, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
And basically what I think, based on what has been clear in social media, if it's what the fans have been asking for, then they're going to be the Utah Yeti. That seems to be the clear, concise, most popular one. What do you think of the name? We didn't really talk about it too much. What do you think of the Utah Yeti being their potential team name?
It's the best one out of all of them. I like it.
I like that it's 4 letters and 4 letters.
Yeah, the Utah Yeti.
Utah Yeti.
We got the Kraken. We got the Yeti. The rest of the teams are multiple things. I think the one that I'm most afraid of is Canadians.
Some Avalanche fans have been really, I don't know, whiny, cranky. They're like, the Yeti is our mascot. Nobody thinks that, except Avalanche fans.
It sounds like people who are dumb. Imagine being upset about that.
I've gotten upset over some dumb things, but I don't think I've been upset over that.
I want to be a Yeti. No, it's mine.
It's mine. We're the Yeti.
We're the Yeti.
If
take that from us.
Yeah, I think anything embrace that if it creates kind of a rivalry. I mean, Colorado and Utah are like right here. They're on top of each other.
They're pretty close.
Yeah. I don't know how close Salt Lake City is to Denver, but I mean the states are right on top of each other.
Oh, if I think Salt Lake City, that's more like central left side of Utah. I could be wrong.
I know it's in Utah for my geography as far as where it is exactly. What?
I know it's in Utah. Well, that's not what I was asking.
No, I just tried to say, like, as far as my geography knowledge, all I can tell you is it is there somewhere.
It's there. All right. Well, that's as far as I know too.
Um, I
Yeah,
think it is in the center though. Just trying to picture maps in my head.
I thought they were gonna be the Utah Mormons, but
Storm and
sadly,
Mormons.
the Smormon
No,
Mormons.
Storm and Mormons.
Stormon Mormons. It's a Mormon with a pitchfork.
Although well, there was like this one, it might have been AI logo, or someone might have taken the time to make it. I don't know, but it was like a dude with like the white button up shirt with a tie, holding the hockey stick. I'm like, that's good.
I mean, dude, if all the fans were all dressed up like that, just at a game, that'd
A
be nuts.
Mormon night. It's a come out
Mormon night.
Mormon night. That's
Mormon night
terrible.
in Utah, baby.
Wear your white. Bring your Bibles.
Bring your Bibles. Throw the Bibles on the ice.
That's yeah, like the teddy bear toss that the Hershey
Yeah,
Bears do, but it's the Bible
yeah.
toss. Yeah, I
The
don't know.
Bible toss.
Don't
That'd be
know.
more
Don't
dangerous.
know even how I would feel about that, to be honest.
Honestly, that'd be dangerous if everyone was hurling Bibles and
Oh
people
my
would have to
god.
run. Those are thick books.
So, please bling paperback only. Yeah.
Please bring paperback only.
No Old Testament Bibles, maybe.
Oh man, yeah, very cool.
All right. Well, that is all the news. There's more news. Some people signing PTOs here. Tyler Ennis retired.
Yeah,
A couple other small news, but that's as far as all we're going to cover. So we're going to move on to ranking the teams by division 1 through 8, and also say who's making the playoffs, who's not. We're going to start in the Atlantic division, and Nolan, you get to go first. I'm putting your list on the screen now.
alrighty. So, am I starting at the Atlantic, right?
Atlantic division, yes.
Yes. So, I have the Florida Panthers finishing first in the Atlantic, followed by Detroit, who will actually have a good season this year, but I think we've been saying that for a while. So who knows? But I'm saying this year is their year. Followed by Boston. I think that would be a really good playoff series.
Detroit
Boston
versus
and
Boston. Yeah.
Detroit. That'd be fun. Then you got Toronto finishing in fourth. I think with their team, I think they're going to struggle with goaltending a bit. Ah! My cat just hit me.
I heard that.
Rude. Don't mess with my Rice Krispie treats. So where was I? Toronto. So I think Toronto might struggle in goaltending a bit, or maybe I could be completely wrong and their goaltending's good. But I feel like last year they had so much trouble with like getting a healthy goalie. Hopefully, maybe like Stolarz could be like stable. But we'll see how that all goes. Then I have Tampa finishing fifth and still making the playoffs. So I still think with Vasilevsky, they're still a good team, no matter what. It just depends on if he can stay healthy. I think last year he didn't even play for like the first 2 months.
He didn't. Yeah, no, he was hurt. And Johansson,
Jonas
who let
Johansson
in
was,
10 goals against the 32nd place Montreal Canadiens with
yeah,
the Florida Panthers, decided, I'll be good for the Tampa team. So screw that guy.
I know. Then I have sadly Montreal finishing in sixth, followed by, well, I guess I should explain why. On most teams, Malton Balt should not be a starting goaltender.
No.
So I just don't see until they get their goalie, unless Malton Balt has a crazy season this year, surprises everybody. Or maybe a Caden Primo, I think is their other
Yeah,
guy.
Caden Primo is set to be the backup.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how they do. Then Ottawa, I feel like even with Olmark, I feel like Ottawa still has a lot of issues.
Yeah.
Health wise, their team still struggles. And then I feel like their defense is not as good as Boston, so Olmark will probably struggle. Because I know Olmark played in Buffalo and he still put up like decent numbers, but I don't know. And then finally, sadly, I
Oh,
have
very
Buffalo
sad.
finishing in last place. I
Another
just don't
the playoff
see
drought
their
continues.
team. I don't see their team improving past the Tampa Bay Lightning, Maple Leafs, or Boston yet,
No,
or
you're
even
you're
Florida.
right.
Unless we have a drastic change where like something bad happens to the Panthers or Boston, Tampa out of nowhere, like they just suck out of
Like
nowhere.
Swayman not being on the team.
Yeah. Yeah, this was me predicting Swayman would have been signed by now. But yeah, that's how I have the Atlantic.
Yeah.
Now and we have three teams clinching in the
Oh wait, hold
Metro.
on. So what's I'm
Oh,
gonna
sorry.
go. I'm gonna go back and forth between divisions.
Oh,
Sorry,
okay, I see.
I didn't explain it to you. So
You
that's
should have
what's.
explained that to me.
So yeah, we're gonna go back and forth. So you gave us your 8 Atlantic teams. I'm gonna give you my 8 Atlantic. We have the same 5 teams finishing the playoffs, but the order is a little bit different. I actually
Mhm.
have Boston winning the Eastern Conference. I think they've made
Okay.
some incredible additions this offseason with Elias Lindholm and Zadorov or Zadorov, however you want to say it. If they can get the Swayman deal done, I would say if they don't get the Swayman deal done, they definitely are going to be low. They'd be lower on this list. But assuming they figure out how to sign Swayman, I think they win the East, finishing number one in the Atlantic. Then I've got Toronto at 2. I think their goaltending actually is better than what it normally is. So we'll see. Then I've got Florida Panthers finishing at 3rd. We're now at the point where we're not really concerned about the regular season. So I think they kind of pull like a Miami Heat thing and like they win enough to get in. And I still think they finish 3rd. And then I've got Detroit at 4. You had them at 2. I have them at
Hmm.
4. Still recognize, hey, I think they're going to be good enough to make the playoffs and be ahead of Tampa. And Tampa obviously lost their captain, Steven Stamkos. They definitely didn't. They definitely got worse, but they still have such a strong roster that just like you, I have them making the playoffs at the as the second wild card team. And then for my bottom 3, I have a slightly different order. Not really though, just switching out the bottom 2. Montreal being the
Hmm.
highest of the teams. I think they are going to get a lot better, but not quite enough to leapfrog Tampa or Detroit. Same thing. Buffalo got worse. They didn't really make any improvements. They lost Jeff Skinner, obviously, who is one of their better players. They bring in McLeod. Is he really going to do
Hmm.
anything to improve this team? Not really. And then Ottawa, they brought in Allmark, but the team is not good, in my opinion. And uh, Allmark is not going to be enough to bring this team
It's
anywhere.
crazy because they do have like good pieces in Thomas Chabot,
Yeah,
Tim Stutzel, Braden Kachuk, and now they bring in a goalie. So I also wouldn't be too surprised if they did
maybe
do
I could be
good.
completely wrong. Maybe
Yeah,
it's Tampa, but the Atlantic is so strong. I don't know if
it
you made
is.
this
Like
realization while you're making
I
it.
feel bad constantly putting Montreal, Buffalo, and then I
Even
Detroit's my one team
Ottawa,
I throw in. But who knows? What if we just have randomly like two of those teams make it and two of the other teams don't?
right?
Like, what if Toronto and Tampa just randomly miss the playoffs one year?
And Florida could be streaky bad. Who knows?
Yeah, you never know. Bobrovsky could have one of his bad regular season years.
Big cup drought. I mean, it's definitely a possibility. So,
Oh yeah,
do I want to see that? No. So I put them at 3rd, but I do
yes.
recognize that it's a possibility.
We gotta be confident in our teams. We can't be
I'm
lamos.
confident enough for them to make the playoffs. You put them winning the division. I don't know about that, but yeah.
Yeah,
All
we'll
right,
see.
let's move on to the Metropolitan Division.
All right. So as we both do, we only have three teams making it.
Yeah, the same
Um.
3 teams, by the way.
Oh my goodness, that's crazy. Number one, I have the Hurricanes. I just think their roster's still good, still really good. So
And
I
you have
have
them
them
winning the
winning
East as well.
East.
Yeah.
Yes. So we both have Western Conference teams winning the President.
Yeah.
So, um, Carolina is just a really strong team. I don't think losing Brett Pesci is enough for them to suddenly get worse. They lost Brett Pesci, right? Or is he still on the team?
No, I think no. I think he's gone. But where did he go?
Yeah, look that up real quick.
You keep going. I'll tell you where Brett Petty
Yeah,
is.
Carolina easily will make the playoffs. I think
Oh,
their
he's on
only
New Jersey,
struggle.
Nolan.
Okay, good. I think their only struggle is still goaltending. If Anderson can stay healthy, and if Kochekov can step up to the next level.
Yeah.
And next, obviously, the Rangers. I feel like these two are obvious teams unless something bad happens, like Chesterkin gets injured.
Just Sturkin.
he is injured, that might mess them up, but they still have a great offense. They still have a great defense. Overall, the Rangers are a really good team that just need to get past the Florida team. New Jersey, I feel like they are going to come back this season now that they
Oh yeah,
have Jacob
definitely.
Markstrom. Unless Jacob Markstrom decides to also be bad, then New Jersey just has a goalie curse ever since Martin Brodeur left. But yeah, I still think they're a really good team. Hopefully, Jack Hughes can stay a full healthy year this year and just be an unbelievable player. And plus, making additions to their defense. I don't think Brett Pesce was the only one. He might have been, but But yeah, overall, I really like New Jersey. Followed Washington. I think them and Tampa is going to be in a really close, like maybe 1 point difference between who made the
Right.
playoffs.
Yeah, I'm thinking the
I
same thing. Yeah.
really, I really feel like the Capitals have a really good team. If Lindgren can continue that success he had from last season, Lindgren was such a shocking. He took over Kumper's job, and they traded Kumper because they're like, yeah,
Lindgren's the
we'll take a
guy.
chance on Pierre Luc Dubois.
PLD.
So So we'll see how he does with the team. I'm guessing since I have them making it close to the playoffs, I'm assuming he'll hopefully do good. And then followed by Philadelphia. I think they still have really nice pieces to their team.
They're goaltending though.
Konecki, Farabee, they have good solid pieces. So besides like their defense, I think they're struggling with getting their goaltender signed. So that could be a huge they could easily possibly even fall to the last place
Yeah.
out of nowhere. I wouldn't be shocked by that. But right now I have them finishing fifth. Followed by the most boring team in the NHL, the New York Islanders. I don't like the Islanders. They are boring.
They are boring.
They shouldn't exist. Nobody's excited when your team is playing the Islanders. You're like, oh, this is gonna suck. So yeah, just boring team. I don't want them in the playoffs anymore. Please, God. Pittsburgh, I have finishing seventh. I think Tristan Jarry is gonna. Fans are gonna want him gone by the end of the year.
Some probably already feel that way.
Well, yeah, and then their team is just getting older and older. Malkin is not the same player he used to be. Crosby's still really good. He'll have a great season. They don't have Jake Gensel. So, nope, I don't believe it. Eric Carlson was probably one of the worst trades, and Kyle Dubas is
He's dumbus.
He's dumbus. Then, sadly, eighth. I hope they have a better season with the Columbus Blue Jackets because this year I don't think is a great draft year. So, don't finish last this season. So
I thought it was McDavid's cousin in this year.
David's cousin.
McDavid.
Oh wait, there is a really good guy this year, James Hagan, I think.
Oh, that's not who I was thinking about.
But that was we're not talking about the draft. Blue Jackets, I think they're really just hoping some of their younger guys get good. That's really all this season is going to be.
Yep.
Just hoping Fantilli develops into a number one center. Hoping all your other pieces they have some Russian guys like Kirill Machenko, Chinnikov. They have a bunch of prospects that they're just hoping constantly improve.
Their one guy they drafted, Caden Lindstrom, right? I don't know if he'll play, but maybe he will now.
He might do the 8-game thing, but if anything, I'm sure he'll just develop in the juniors. But yeah, hopefully Columbus does better. I could easily see a lot of these teams switching places other than the Carolina Hurricanes and New York Rangers. The Devils are always hit or miss. You never know.
So speaking of that, it kind of is segueing really nicely for me. So I have the Devils at the top of this division. You have to remember they were missing Dougie Hamilton almost the entire season. They only had him for a few weeks or maybe even a month at the beginning of the year. Obviously, Jacob Markstrom, huge addition. Jack Hughes had an injury 2 times last year, and he was honestly on pace to win the Art Ross with a fully healthy season. I think New Jersey is going to step it up big time and be the best team in the Metro. And I'll just say the discrepancy between these 3 teams and the rest, I think is going to be huge. I think it's going to be I've got Carolina at 3rd. You had New Jersey at 3rd. Whoever that is, I think it's going to be like a 20-point difference, maybe
Oh,
maybe
so
15
you're
points.
thinking Carolina might have like 100 points, and then the Islanders have 20 or
Or
80
like
points?
80, maybe 85.
I don't think that at all.
Anyways, I'm just saying like this. I don't think this top three is so obvious to pick, and you can kind of interchange the order. New York could win the division too. We both
I
put New
think the
York at two, but
I think besides the Blue Jackets, I think the Eastern Conference literally has just really good teams.
yeah,
Competitive teams. Like every game in the East between two Eastern Conference teams, you can see both teams winning. I
yeah,
think the only team you don't see winning is Columbus
yeah,
against
and that's
with
unfortunate. But
yeah,
so
but they're
I've got
they're
New
weak.
sorry.
Go ahead.
So I've got New Jersey at one, like I said, then New York and Carolina. Then I've got the Islanders at four. They are a boring team, but they seem to at least figure out how to win.
Hmm.
I've got
It's
Philly.
working.
Yeah, I got Philly at five. I think I like the that Mitchkov's going to play, but the loss of Carter Hart for that terrible thing that he may or may not have done because we still don't know. But either way, he's not on the team and he's probably not coming back. So they're going to have to get their goaltending figured out. And until it does, I don't think they're going to be in the playoffs. Then I've got Pittsburgh at six. I think they're going to do better than Washington. I think Washington completely overplayed what they're actually capable of. I don't think they're going to do very well. I think Lindgren takes a step back. I think he had a flash in the pants season, but I
Mhm.
could be wrong. I'm always there's al I mean anyone could be wrong, obviously, but that's
Yeah,
just my
that's
prediction.
just predictions.
And then yeah, unfortunately, Columbus I have at eighth, and I hope that's not where they end up. Maybe this team rallies around the loss to Gaudreau. That's what a
Yeah,
lot of people are saying.
I wouldn't be surprised if they made the playoffs even just because of a boost of energy.
Yeah, or I mean, it's gonna be a tough year, another tough year for
Mm.
Columbus. I feel like, and that sucks, but it just is what it is.
It is what it is. Nothing you could do.
All right,
All
let's
right.
switch gears to the Western Conference, starting in your division, the Central.
That's right. My first time having optimism. So, trying to be a better fan. So, number one, I have easily Dallas. I think
Easily, okay.
I think they'll have like a solid lead heading into the Central Division. And then followed by the Avalanche, who I think are still just a really good team. I don't think they've had any big losses, and then also that trade for Casey
Uh,
Middlestat, who's fitting in
Nikushkin,
really well. Oh yeah, Nikushin. Oh,
but they should have Landeskog back, so the kind
yeah,
of
they should
ill
have
evened
Landis
out.
back. So yeah, I that contract was such a bad idea apparently. Oh man, but yeah, Colorado's still a really good team. Nashville, I actually have them in the playoffs, finishing third place. I think with UC Soros, he could do anything. So as long as he has a nice, full, healthy year, I think we'll be okay and can make the playoffs with the team we're looking like on paper. Minnesota, I actually have clinching a playoff spot just because I think Gustafson will take up have a pretty good season. I think Flurry as your backup too, it'll be good. I doubt he drops off like a major cliff. Like I'm sure he's still going to be a solid backup. And then also Kaprizov, I feel like he'll get better still with his team. Just overall, I think Minnesota's just a solid team. Winnipeg, I have probably barely missing the playoffs. I think them and Seattle are going to be near the edge, fighting for that playoff spot, along with Minnesota. So I just had them barely missing. They still have a really good team with Hellebuck and all that. So I could even see them taking the Predators spot and the Predators missing the playoffs, something like that. So St. Louis, I have finishing six. I don't think St. Louis is right now a playoff team.
No,
I just their roster isn't like too threatening, but they'll always stay competitive because they do have a good core of guys like Robert Thomas, Jordan Cairo. You have a good core, and they still have a nice defense despite losing Torrey Krug. Utah Hockey Club, I have finishing seventh because Arizona is bad. They had a bad team. Moving them to Utah will not make them a good team. However, it is good news that they do have found their starter, it looks like, in Connor Ingram. I'm
Yeah.
happy for Connor Ingram.
Masterton Trophy winner.
I'm glad he turned it around and actually is building like a career. And it's going to be really cool for him, like being a franchise's new goalie. That's got to be really cool because
Yeah, true.
no matter what, teams like fans like goalies. So to be the goalie, that's going to be awesome for him. So I think they'll have a solid year, but still like losing record.
Yeah.
You'll see improvements from hopefully Logan Cooley. Hopefully he can take up a huge step because he's a very good prospect. Chicago, I have finishing 8th until they fix their goalie problem. I'm never going to see them as a better team than last place because Peter Mrazek sucks, and the fact that he's still making money is crazy.
And Soderberg, I think, is the other goalie, right? Or did no,
So,
no, Soderblom,
Arvid Soderblom.
or did they sign someone else?
I feel like I don't know. They have bad goalies. I cannot believe they kept Peter Mrazek around.
I'm gonna look up their goaltending situation. I mean, I have them at 8-2, so it's not like I'm gonna see like a backup and be like, oh, I gotta move them up. No, no, they brought in Brossois. Sorry, so yeah, Soderblom played last year, but they brought in Brossois to be.
Well, I guess I have them finishing 4th now.
They're making the playoffs now. I'll move on to my central. It's not too different from yours. Just a couple interchanges. So it feels like Colorado and Dallas interchange. Like they go back and forth who wins the division. So it's Colorado's turn. Dallas won it last year, so Colorado's going to win it this year.
Okay.
They're both pretty even. I think Dallas goes further in the playoffs, but I could be wrong.
Oh yeah, we're definitely getting eliminated the first round if we're up against them.
So I do have Nashville in the same place as you, 3rd, and I think if their lineup plays to their potential, I think they could win the division. To be honest, I think that's their ceiling, but I think more realistically, I'm putting them at 3. And I have Winnipeg Jets finishing 4th because Hellbuck, the best regular season goalie in the league, he should be able to push them into a his regular season play should be able to put them into the playoffs over Minnesota. And I also was debating about putting Minnesota as my 5th playoff team and leaving Seattle off, but I ultimately decided to do something similar to you and say Seattle's going to make it, I think. I have Utah finishing above St. Louis. I think even with those additions of those 2 Oilers players whose names are escaping, Broberg and Holloway. I don't think that's going to push them to a higher spot. I think they're still pretty middling and meh. And then I've still got Chicago at 8th. Like you said, they've got all the same issues. Bedard will be better, and he hopefully should play a full year, but he's not going to be enough to get them out of like that 8th spot because they're still going to be letting in a ton of goals. So
their defense is very. Seth Jones should not be a number 1 defenseman.
No.
They're paying him like a number 1 defenseman, but
Yeah, so that's our central. And then this one's going to be kind of boring to look at because we have the same exact thing.
Yeah, I guess we can both kind of
the Pacific Division
explain. We both have Edmonton finishing as our President's Trophy winner.
Yep.
It just seems like the most logical thing.
Right. They're going to be hungry. And so I think that's going
to that's going to carry them into a shocking first round exit.
They put so much energy during the regular season and they get imagine it's Seattle.
Yeah, after this my trivia question is just going to be how do you think the playoffs are good? I think we should do like quick little playoffs.
Okay.
Thing. So, then next is Vancouver. I think we both see Vancouver staying good. Vetcher Demko's a really good goalie. They have a great offense. They have a great defense. They're going to be a good team. I honestly think they could make the cup.
Yeah, I would think that's exciting. I mean, their team has never won a cup, and so it'd be good to have cross another team off the list that's never won a cup.
We both have Vegas making it, even though I'm finger crossing they missed the playoffs so bad. We have their first round pick.
It just does. As much as I hate Vegas, it doesn't make sense to put them lower. It doesn't. I can't.
They would have to have a big injury.
Yeah. which, I mean, it will inevitably happen, but then they'll put them on LTIR and pick up a big guy at the trade deadline. So, I mean, it's not going to matter
Mhm.
that much.
And we both have Seattle having an improvement year and seeing the playoffs. I think they'll have. I think Beniers will step into a role, hopefully, and be their guy.
Hmm.
And then I just really like their defense of Montour, Dunn, and then the big guys in Adam Larson and Alexiak. I really like that defense of theirs. I think that will help them. Hopefully, I think their biggest factor is Grubauer. If he can just be solid.
Well, so that's one thing I was going to say. So
And
Seattle
Joey Daccord.
improved. Decord proved that he's going to be the starter. He started more games than Grubauer. So he's going to be their guy. And it's good to know that going into the year instead of like before, like, was Grubauer going to be the guy? Does
I
Decord
still
step
think
up?
they're going to do like more of a 50-30 situation, though,
Okay.
in games. I don't think Joey Daccord is your
60 game starter.
60 game goalie. I
No,
think
you're
that's
right.
more. So I really think they just need Grubauer to be a solid goalie, and then they can make the playoffs.
Yeah. And Chandler
And then
Stevenson, you didn't mention him. That was a big signing. And
that's
obviously
another big addition. Yeah,
he's going to be probably their second line center, and that's going to be a big improvement for them for a team that's kind of, and he's not, like I said, he's not a superstar, but he is a really good player, and they need that
yeah.
on their offense.
Then we have the Kings taking a step back.
They did take a step back. It's just that's the
I
way it is.
I think Kemper could be their guy, maybe, but I really don't think he's the guy.
Their
So
goaltending is so confusing.
I still think they'll have a good season. Hopefully, I wouldn't be upset if they have a great season and kick out the Vegas Golden Knights out of a playoff spot. That would make me really happy. So I'm still rooting for them. Hope Quinn Byfield and of course my guy I was like rooting for in the draft rankings to get drafted higher and got told you're dumb is Arthur Kayev.
Kaliev.
All right, and then we both have the
Well, hold on.
Sharks having okay, yes.
One more thing about LA. They definitely had a bad. I thought they did have a bad offseason. Even though PLD didn't live up to the expectations, he still was a middle six forward who provided points and scoring. You lose him for Kemper, who you just said you don't know how he's going to perform. And then they also lost Victor Arvidsson, and while he was injured, he still was a solid piece for them who'd provide a lot of scoring. So this is a team that did get worse. So that's why I have them out of the playoffs too.
Yeah. We both have San Jose taking a step up.
Yeah, I think they will.
I hope they do. I think they have Askarov on my goalie. I hope he has a solid year. I'm gonna be excited if we I'm definitely gonna try to watch a game that we're playing against him because that would be really cool seeing Saros against Askarov.
Askarov's going to be playing his butt off in that game.
Oh yeah, I could see it shutting us out.
So
But
I think there's going to be just like this young fire under this team, and that's going to propel them to be above Calgary and Anaheim and not be at the bottom of the standings. You've got Will Smith, who's going to be starting. You've got the number one overall pick, Macklin Celebrini, going to be kind of leading this team. I think he becomes captain of the San Jose Sharks before Bedard becomes captain of the Blackhawks, to be honest. And then, like you said, Askarov, I think he's going to have a big fire under him to play well because he basically said, I am an NHL goalie. So he's got to prove it this year. And I think with all these young players, I think they're going to play well, but not well enough to make the playoffs, but well enough to not be the bottom.
their biggest fall is their defense.
Sure.
Or flaw. Their defense, I'm trying to even think of names.
Vlasic, that's it. That's all I got for you.
Vlasic is literally the only one, and he's not good anymore. So that's not a good sign. I'm sure they do have solid defensemen. I just cannot think of them at the moment.
I've got to pull it up because you got me thinking.
Yeah.
San Jose Sharks. Let's scroll down to their defense. We've got, other than Vlasic, Jake Wallman. They brought him in. Cody Ceci, remember they traded for him.
Oh, God.
Mario Ferraro.
Okay.
Jan Ruda. Matt Benning.
These are all like on good teams, bottom six, top six defensemen.
Henry Thrun is also listed on the roster.
Oh, he's a young.
Yeah,
I've
he's
heard
only
of him.
23.
Yeah, he might take a little step up, but yeah, their defense, that's horrific. You basically named like, okay, I need a top six defenseman. Who should I get?
Oh,
Oh,
don't forget
Yandel.
about this guy, Shakir Mukahamadulin.
Oh, I'm excited
He's
for him.
currently
I hope he's
listed
good.
as a minor league player, but I mean, with that kind of defense, he
Definitely,
has a chance to play.
he has a chance to crack it.
Yeah,
Then we both have Calgary finishing
because
seventh.
they
I think
stink.
Calgary will be a bad team this year.
Bad.
I think they're gonna be competing for top three
Yeah,
pick.
I
So
totally agree.
um
They had a
who
terrible
knows?
offseason. They lost their
They have
goalie.
they don't have a goalie unless Vladar takes a big step up,
Ah.
which you never know.
Huberto's
But
not going to be any better. He's going to keep getting worse.
yeah,
Kadri's not getting
I,
any younger.
it's just a mess of a franchise right now. I would not want to be the GM of the Calgary Flames.
They made so many bad decisions these past few years, and because they were
Mm-hmm.
on the up and up. Remember, they were in the Western Conference Final not
They
that
just
long ago.
they couldn't keep that core together. I guess they just didn't want to stay. To
Yeah.
Chuck, Gaudreau, and
Bennett,
Bennett
Monahan,
and Monahan, like that was their core. Lindholm, remember that?
Elias Lindholm.
Now it's all different. It's
Backlund still there.
crazy.
Backlund's not
Yeah.
going to do anything for this team. I
I
know
think
he's the captain,
the
but
strongest thing about the Flames that could only possibly carry them to a playoffs is their defense is pretty good.
right. No,
They have
Uyghur's
some
still
really
good.
good
Uyghur's
pieces.
still
Yeah,
good.
Uyghur is definitely a hit for them. Like that's a good piece we got. If only that was this is at least one of them worked out. But we're paying $11 million for a 50-point guy.
Rasmus
Um,
Anderson, I like.
yeah, it's a good defense that could if Vladar does good. I think.
And then
And
this
then
is
we
my number one overall pick team, like finished last
yeah.
place, the Anaheim Ducks, and I think you agree.
Yes, they've done nothing to really improve. They're still a young team. They're waiting for prospects to develop. Cutter Gauthier, I think they're really looking forward to that once he can play. I think their defense still needs work. They have a lot of pieces. They have a young goalie in Dustil who's going to probably take over for John Gibson once he's gone. So I think they
If
have the
he's
pieces,
ever gone,
but I still think they're a really bad
hey,
team.
stay.
But you never know. Like I said, but I like that they're going to be the Mighty Ducks again. I just like that that's their logo
Yes,
again.
they knew how crap they were going to be. Like, let's give the fans something to be excited about. We're going
Yes,
back to
at
the
least
Mighty Ducks
it's
logo.
back to the correct logo it should have always been.
Right. Once the Panthers, this whole run, like Barkov gets to the end, Kachuk and Barkov are at the end of their deals, and we're bad. Then that's when we'll go back to the Leaping Cat. Um,
To make all the fans like, oh, at least we got this.
that's right. That's what I just know it's got to happen eventually. There's no way we're sticking with the Shield the whole rest of whole rest of the thing. Even though we've won a cup. I mean, Anaheim won a cup with the worst logos in NHL history. Ducks. Like, I mean, and
Yeah.
so I mean, winning the cup with the Shield is not going to mean we're stuck with it. So,
Yeah, no. I guess now let's do a little quick Stanley Cup run here.
okay.
Let's go through. Do you want to go first?
Um, no, I want to hear what you have in mind of how to say this. So I'll let you go first.
Okay. So let's go through the Eastern Conference first. I'm gonna do. So I have the Florida Panthers, right? No, I have the Carolina finishing first place, so they're gonna face Tampa. In that series, I am going to have the Carolina Hurricanes winning. So Carolina advances, and now in the since we started with the Metro Division, I'll just keep going.
Okay.
Um, New
You started
York
with
and
the
New
Atlantic, but
Jersey.
it's fine.
Yeah. Well, I guess I can do that. I'll just shift my order around. So Florida, Toronto. I am going to have Toronto upsetting the Florida Panthers in the first round. I think that would be shocking. And Florida Panther fans would be like, "Oh, this sucks."
You're
I'm
right.
sure that's how you would feel if you won first place and
No,
immediately got.
I'll be. We at least won the cup last year. That'll be my
That's
attitude.
good. That's the attitude you should have. Unless you lose in embarrassing fashion, that would be bad.
Like we
um,
we we pull the a Toronto against Toronto. We're up 3-1 and blow
oh
it in
yes,
Game 7.
that would be crazy. That's what I'm predicting.
Okay. Okay.
All right, Detroit, Boston. I think Detroit is going to win that series. Boston is going to be too tired or something.
Okay.
They're too old.
They're old.
But no, it'll probably be a close series, 6 or 7 games. Then Carolina, I have them beating Tampa
Tampa.
probably in
Yeah.
5 games. Then New York Rangers, I think, are going to be dominant and beat the Devils in quick fashion.
There'll be some revenge from a few years ago.
And then I'll just keep going with the East. So now it's Toronto, Detroit, and I'm gonna have Toronto winning the series. That's right. I'm having Toronto go all the way to the third round this year. And then the Hurricanes and Rangers, I think the Rangers will win.
Again. Okay.
So now the Stanley Cup. Who do you think I'm going to have making the Stanley Cup?
Out of the
Rangers?
Rangers and Maple Leafs, I feel like
Yes.
you're trying to create a Maple Leaf arc. So
No. Rangers make the Stanley Cup out of the Eastern Conference. They
okay.
easily sweep the
Sweet.
Toronto Maple Leafs, crushing their hearts. They finally make the third round just to get swept. Just like how they made the second round and then got pummeled by the Panthers.
Oh man.
So
right.
now we're in the West. So we'll start with the Central. So I will have the Dallas Stars taking on the let's see. I'm gonna say Minnesota finished higher.
Then Seattle.
So we'll
Okay.
face Minnesota. Dallas and Minnesota. I'm gonna have Dallas actually beating Minnesota, probably in a either 5 or 6 game series. But they'll always have like the bigger lead, like be up 2-0 and then take it on from there. Then Avalanche Nashville. I am going to have the Avalanche win against the Nashville. Nashville will be excited. I'm sure they'll put an effort in, but we'll just need one more year before we make the cup.
We've got those guys signed for plenty of years, so it doesn't have to be this year.
Now we have Edmonton, Seattle. I am going to have Edmonton winning that series, followed by Vegas and Vancouver. I will have Vancouver winning that series.
That Vancouver, Edmonton again.
Yes. And now for Dallas and the Avalanche, I'm going to have Dallas winning again. And then Edmonton, Vancouver. This time, Vancouver will beat Edmonton.
Okay, so it's not at least the exact same arc as last year.
Very nice. And then out of Dallas, Vancouver, I am going to have Dallas making the cup.
So your cup final is Dallas, New York. I think that's a pretty solid matchup.
That's a pretty solid Stanley Cup and a pretty solid prediction, I think. Two teams that have always been close, but
two teams that have already won the cup, though, so it's kind of boring.
Two teams that haven't won a cup in a long time.
Oh, they've won it though. 99 and 94, so it's definitely been a minute.
Yeah, so I am going probably out of those. I'm going to predict that the Rangers
finally get back,
win the cup. Once again, Dallas loses semi recently, but I just think Shesterkin is just going to have his year where he can carry the Rangers to a cup and win the Conn Smythe. Or not the Conn Smythe. What's it called? Playoff MVP?
That is, you got it right. Conn Smythe.
Oh, I did get it right. Okay, nice. Yeah, he'll win the Conn Smythe.
So you're just going off your rankings for these playoff stuff. So I'll try to be a little bit quicker than you. Here.
Oh yeah, go.
So Boston would if I am 100% correct, then Boston would play Tampa in the first round, and I think it's another chance for a Florida team to upset the or not the number one team in the East, but I think Boston handles them pretty easily. Um, so they'll be moving on. Then I've got Toronto and Florida, just like you did. And I also do think Toronto would be able to pull off this against Florida. So I'll have my team eliminated in the first round. Keep my expectations
We
low.
both we both have our teams losing in the first
And
round.
plus, that means it's yet again Boston Toronto, and this time
Mhm.
I think Toronto finally slays the demon because I want them to. I
Yeah,
just do. I want Toronto to slay the Boston Demon Dragon, whatever you want to call it. So I have Toronto in the Eastern Conference Finals. Moving over to the Metro, I would have New Jersey facing Detroit, and that sounds like a fun series.
sounds
Um,
fun.
I think New Jersey takes that one in six. Then I've got New York and Carolina again. This time in the first round, I think New York has the stronger team, so then they'll move on. So again, that brings a matchup of New York and New Jersey, and I think New York, with all their experience, I think they'll go back in. So then you have New York and Toronto as Eastern Conference
Same as
Finals,
mine.
original six. And I think Toronto wins this one in
Really,
seven. So
that's crazy.
Toronto is in my cup final because I want them to be.
Good prediction. What a prediction.
Moving over to the West, I would have Edmonton facing. I would say Seattle's definitely the eighth seed here. So Edmonton, Seattle. Edmonton handles that pretty easily. Then we got Vancouver, Vegas. I'll pick Vancouver. So yeah, Vancouver and Edmonton again. And I would also pick Vancouver to be this time be on the end of that. So Vancouver there at the end. Moving on to the Central, I have Colorado versus Winnipeg yet again. And this time Winnipeg comes out on top. Hellebuck figures out how to
Mm,
play in the playoffs. Dallas and Nashville. Nashville shocks Dallas, leaving us with the
really.
weirdest uh,
What?
matchup with Nashville versus Winnipeg, and then Winnipeg would win that, unfortunately for you, uh, with Hellebuck finally being able to figure us out. So we have the Winnipeg Jets versus the Vancouver Canucks, once again guaranteeing a Canadian team plays in the Stanley Cup final.
Canadian team's going to win the cup based on your state thing.
It would, because then it'll be Vancouver who will be facing the Toronto Maple Leafs. So
Oh my
Canadian fans will
god,
be
that would
happy,
be nuts.
and Vancouver will destroy the hopes and dreams of Maple Leafs fans even more than your
In four
prediction.
games, that would be horrific.
With Vancouver has not won a cup, and they came into existence just after the Toronto Maple Leafs won their last cup in '67. Then the Vancouver Canucks became a franchise. Actually, they might have been in the '70s, but either ways, Vancouver became a franchise. So they basically both haven't won a cup in the same thing. But Vancouver is going to be my Stanley Cup
I
champion.
would dream of the video Steve Dangle would make if the Leafs took a 3-1 lead in the Stanley Cup
Against
just to lose it in Game 7.
I think he'd quit.
I think he would probably stop being alive anymore. I
Oh,
think
jeez,
his
no,
brain
no,
would,
no.
his brain would just blow up from the anger.
His
from
wife
the
would have to
fact
tell him it's time to stop with all this
it's
hockey
time to
stuff.
stop playing YouTube. But yeah, I think I like your prediction. That would be a fun Stanley Cup. But I also kind of like the idea of the Rangers facing Dallas. That could have been last year's Cup.
They could have been. It could have been. A lot of people thought it might have been, and it ended up being Florida
Oh
Edmonton.
yeah,
So
it ended up being the one nobody really thought would happen.
yeah. No,
Everyone thought the Panthers
even
would.
though as an American, I don't. I mean, I just the memes are tiring. Like, let's just get it over with. Come on.
Is that the Boston memes?
I'm fine with Boston memes. That's right. I'm fine with those. I think, but here's the thing with Toronto potentially winning the cup, even though I didn't have them that they need to beat Boston to get to the cup. If they don't go through Boston, they will not win. That is my prediction. Just like how Florida had to go through Tampa to win the cup, we could not win the
Mhm.
cup without beating Tampa. So just like Toronto needs to beat Boston.
Yeah, for sure.
That's
Good for them.
that's why Florida eliminated them so easy 2 years ago because we beat Boston for them. So
Toronto
it
will
screwed
lose the
the
cup
arc.
this year, against Vancouver, but then next year they're going to win against Edmonton.
All the Canadian teams are finally showing up.
Yeah. And then Edmonton will win the cup against Montreal.
Montreal, that timeline might work actually.
There we go.
My ears are killing me, so I took off my glasses. I can barely see anything, but I mean,
Well, it's time for the episode to end anyway.
That's right. It's been an hour. We've enjoyed talking hockey. Hope you guys have enjoyed listening. We haven't really gotten a lot of comments or posts, so if you are listening today, if you've made it through the episode, let us know. Let us know that you're listening. It'd be great. Give us some suggestions what you want us to talk about. If there's something that we've been missing in regards to topics, feel free to let us know. Reach out to us. We have even an email you can contact that. Yes, puckbrospod@gmail.com. So far I've only gotten spam emails asking how I can buy bots to follow our podcast.
I think we should invest in that. I think that would be a good investment. Let's bot our podcast.
Yeah. But anyways, this was Brett
and Nolan.
All right, until next time.
See ya.